G'day whisky lovers, welcome to the Hard Malt channel. My name's Tim, and I know it's been a few weeks since my last video upload, but today you're getting a little bonus. You're getting a quick review of this delicious Speyburn 15, which I've poured a bit on my glass already just to open up, and you're also getting a little bit of a rant. More about that later. Firstly, I did get a chance to visit the Speyburn distillery in my Scotland trip last year in May, and this was my pick out of the tasting that was on offer after the tour, which consisted of a lineup of one of their non-age statement offerings, their core 10-year-old, as well as the 15-year-old and the 18-year-old. Now, I have previously tasted the 18-year-old and it's absolutely delicious, but for me, I found during the tasting the 15-year-old seemed to offer more character for me. I found this has got more of a balance between the ex-bourbon character and the ex-sherry character as well, whereas the 18 tends to lean into the more sherry influence a bit more. Don't get me wrong, the 18 is absolutely delicious and I'd have it in my cabinet any day of the week. But the 15 for me, I just think it gives a bit of a layered sort of flavour profile, which I just really enjoy. So let's get into this one. It's been sitting in the glass for a few minutes, so on the nose it's really rich. There's toffee notes, hints of citrus and stewed apricot perhaps. There's definitely some chocolate notes and spice notes coming from the sherry maturation, should I say. Yeah, really rich nose, enticing. Even say hints of toffee apple or candied apple, as some people might know it. Yeah, the nose is really enticing, so I'm going to have a sip. Big toffee on the palate. Hints of moist tobacco. Hints of the stewed fruits as well, blending together in a really oily sort of thick mouthfeel. And that, I think the rich mouthfeel comes down to the fact at Speyburn they use a worm tub condenser. I'm sure some of you watching this channel will know exactly what I'm talking about there, but for those who don't, as the alcohol vapour comes up the neck of the still and down into the condenser, there's typically two types of condensers that are used in the production of Scotch whisky or malt whisky. One being a straight water-cooled tube condenser, which is pretty much the vapour comes down the tube into the condenser and goes straight down through these pipes, which are surrounded by flowing cool water to help condense the vapours back into liquid form. A worm tub design is where the tube goes into basically a large tub, and the condenser tube actually worms its way inside that tube in a spiral pattern, and it's often said that style of condenser helps to, or triggers the alcohol vapours to condensate really quickly and capture more of the heavier sort of flavours coming out of the still, and hence it would appear evident through much experimentation of my own that distilleries that do use a worm tub tend to end up with a really rich, thick, oily texture on the palate, which aids the carriage of the flavour. So, and in my photos at the end of the video from my tour, you'll be able to see a quick snap of where we actually walk outside over the top of where the worm tub is, which is just basically filled up with rainwater. The tube itself is not open, so the rainwater doesn't go in and mix with the spirit itself. So don't be too concerned there. The rainwater filled worm tub basically cools the vapors as it goes through that spiral tube. So yeah, very interesting distillery to have a look at if you get a chance. Yeah, just really enjoying this nose. It's so rich. Yeah, more hints of chocolate on the nose now, and the moist tobacco as well. Mixing with the fruits. Almost butterscotch as well. It's a really delicious dram, this one. And a few more notes about my distillery visit. One area that you'll see if you visit Speyburn and do a tour is you'll be able to see one of the oldest sections of the distillery where they still have the malting drums that they used to use, which would slowly aerate the malted barley and keep it moist to the spec that they want, and then slowly dry it out. And these malting drums were an alternative, impressive alternative to the traditional method of using a big shovel and turning your malted barley over time and time again, just to ensure that it doesn't sprout too much, and to keep the temperatures sort of even on your barley while it's just starting to sprout and before you dry it. And mind you, these drums were engineered hundreds of years ago and installed in this distillery. So it's amazing to see. I've never seen it in any other distillery before. I believe there's one or two others that used to use the old drum maltings. However, Speyburn is one where that part's not still operational, but you can still view it and basically imagine how it used to operate. Right down to the ceiling of the drum maltings building was where they would dry out the malt, and it would be carried into the mill by little, basically distillery trains, tiny little mini trains, if you like. And from there it would get milled down and then thrown into make up a wort to be fermented and then distilled and aged and create this wonderful whiskey. Now, I think it's about rant time, don't you? So, the news that's come out recently out of Scotland is that Inver House, the owner of Speyburn Distillery, as well as Knockdhu Distillery, and I think a couple of others, Inver House have, by all accounts, given Speyburn a direction that their core 15-year-old and 18-year-old bottlings are soon going to be reduced to 40%, and that means they will have to be chill filtered and probably coloured, and this is just terrible news, absolutely terrible news. I don't know why you would do that to such a delicious whiskey. Now this one prides itself, it says right here on the front of the bottle that it's non-chill filtered and it's no colour added, 46%. That's how whisky should be presented. Natural, at proper strength, without all the flavour taken out of it by chill filtration. Now again, some people know exactly what I'm talking about when I say this, whereas others may not. So for the benefit of people that are a bit newer to the whisky, chill filtration is where they will drop the temperature of the whisky that they've taken out of the casks and then force it through some pretty severe filtration systems. Think of it like coffee going through a coffee filter. Now the trick is that when you water down the whisky to say 40% or 43% even, at that lower strength, all the different long chain acids and flavour compounds. I don't pretend to be a scientist about it, but from what I've read, from what I've learned off more experienced people and distillers themselves, is that once you get below, I think it's 45.8% ABV, you'll start to get a cloudy whisky, because those different compounds in the whisky that provide so much mouthfeel and flavour start to almost solidify within the whisky, and so it'll turn the liquid quite cloudy. So if they're going to the trouble of dropping the percentage of the whisky because they want to sell more of it and they want to sell it cheaper, that kind of thing, obviously they're going to be selling it to people who are not going to buy it if it's cloudy. So that's where the chill filtration comes in. When they lower the temperature of the whisky, like basically chill it, hence chill filtration, and then push it through all the barrier filters, those filters are able to trap the things that would make the whisky cloudy. So then they end up with a more pristine looking whisky. However, by the time they've done that, in my opinion and in the opinion of many whisky experts out there, by the time they've done that, you've taken away quite a lot of the flavour and the mouthfeel, which doesn't make sense to people like myself, but it makes sense to corporate companies that just want to make a lot of profit and sell a lot of cheap whisky in supermarkets. And that, as horrible as it might sound, is how Inver House has been at times marketing Speyburn whisky, or so I'm told, because in actual fact in Australia, Speyburn is not that easy to get hold of. There's just not much stock that makes it out here. However, in the UK and the US, where I believe it's quite popular in the US, it's actually marketed as a supermarket whisky brand, which just shocks me and shocks others. Whisky of this calibre is not supermarket whisky. It will be if they drop the percent to 40% and chill filter it, then I'm not going to buy it. I know hundreds, thousands of other people are not going to buy it. In actual fact, Dramface has started a petition to send Inver House our thoughts and strong urge to reconsider this decision. And I'll put a link in the description. It'll be the very first link in the description of this video. So if there's anything else you do with this video, I could tell you to like it, I could tell you to subscribe, and please do if you haven't. But if you do anything from this video, please click the first link and sign the petition and tell Inver House that we don't want them to destroy this delicious whisky and turn it into supermarket rubbish. So there you have it. There's my rant, and on that note, I will, as I said, I will put some pictures of the gorgeous little distillery that Speyburn is. They are situated pretty much on the northeastern, very northeastern eastern edge of the Speyside region in Scotland, and I hope you enjoy the pictures, but more importantly I hope you click that first link and sign the petition. To all those who do, Slàinte mhath.